Let us begin our reading. Book 5. Calypso, Odysseus. Odysseus reaches Scheria on a raft. And now, as dawn rose from her couch beside Tithonius, harbinger of light alike to mortals and immortals, the gods met in council, and with them Zeus, Lord of Thunder, who is their king. Thereon Athena began to tell them of many sufferings of Odysseus, for she pitied him away there in the house of the nymph Calypso. "Father Zeus," said she, "and all you other gods that live in everlasting bliss, I hope there may never be such a thing as a kind and well-disposed ruler any more, nor one who will govern equitably. I hope they will be all henceforth cruel and unjust, for there is not one of his subjects but has forgotten Odysseus, who ruled them as though he were their father. There he is, lying in great pain in an island where dwells There he is, lying in great pain in an island where dwells the nymph Calypso, who will not let him go, and he cannot get back to his own country, for he can find neither ships nor sailors to take him over the sea. Furthermore, wicked people are now trying to murder his only son Telemachus, who is coming home from Pylos and Lacedaemon, where he has been to see if he can get news of his father." "What, my dear, are you talking about?" replied her father. "Did you not send him there yourself, because you thought it would help Odysseus to get home and punish the suitors? Besides, you are perfectly able to protect Telemachus, and to see him safely home again, while the suitors have to come hurry-scurrying back without having killed him." Take a drink of water. Thank you for the heart. When he had thus spoken, he said to his son Hermes, "Hermes, you are our messenger. Go, therefore." My tummy's making noise. "Hermes, you are our messenger. Go, therefore, and tell Calypso we have decreed that poor Odysseus is to return home. He is to be conveyed neither by gods nor men, but after a perilous voyage of 20 days upon a raft, he is to reach fertile Scheria, the land of the Phaeacians, who are near of kin to the gods, and will honor him as though he were one of ourselves. They will send him in a ship to his own country, and will give him more bronze and gold and raiment than he would have brought back from Troy, if he had had all his prize money and had got home without disaster. This is how we have settled that he shall return to his country and his friends." Thus he spoke, and Hermes, guide and guardian, slayer of Argus, did as he was told. Forthwith he bound on his glittering golden sandals with which he could fly like the wind over land and sea. He took the wand with which he seals men's eyes in sleep, or wakes them just as he pleases, and flew holding it in his hand over Pieria. Then he swooped down through the firmament till he reached the level of the sea, whose waves he skimmed like a cormorant that flies fishing every hole and corner of the ocean, and drenching its thick plumage in the spray. He flew and flew over every weary wave, but when at last he got to the island which was his journey's end, he left the sea and went on by land till he came to the cave where the nymph Calypso lived. He found her at home. There was a large fire burning on the hearth, and one could smell from far the fragrant reek of burning cedar and sandalwood. As for herself, she was busy at her loom, shooting her golden shuttle through the warp and singing beautifully. Round her cave there was a thick wood of alder, poplar, and sweet-smelling cypress trees, wherein all kinds of great birds had built their nests: owls, hawks, and chittering sea crows that accompany their business in the waters. A vine loaded with grapes was trained and grew luxuriantly about the mouth of the cave. There were also 4 running rills of water in channels, cut pretty close together, and turned hither and thither so as to irrigate the beds of violets and luscious herbage over which they flowed. Even a god could not help being charmed with such a lovely spot. So Hermes stood still and looked at it. But when he had admired it sufficiently, he went inside the cave. Another drink of water. Calypso knew him at once, for the gods all know each other, no matter how far they live from one another. But Odysseus was not from within. He was the seashore as usual, looking out upon the barren ocean with tears in his eyes, groaning and breaking his heart for sorrow. Calypso gave Hermes a seat and said, "Why have you come to see me, Hermes? Honored and ever welcome, for you do not visit me often. Say what you want. I will do it for you at once if I can, and if it can be done at all. But come inside and let me set refreshment before you." As she spoke, she drew a table loaded with ambrosia beside him and mixed him some red nectar. So Hermes ate and drank till he had had enough, and then said, "We are speaking god and goddess to one another, and you ask me why I have come here, and I will tell you truly, as you would have me do. Zeus sent me. It was no doing of mine. Who could possibly want to come all this way over the sea where there are no cities full of people to offer me Who could possibly want to come all this way over the sea where there are no cities full of people to offer me sacrifices or choice hecatombs? Nevertheless, I had to come, for none of us other gods can cross Zeus, nor transgress his orders. He says that you have here the most ill-starred of all those who fought 9 years before the city of King Priam, and sailed home in the 10th year after having sacked it. On their way home they sinned against Athena, who raised both wind and waves against them, so that all his brave companions perished, and he alone was carried hither by the wind and tide. Zeus says that you are to let this man go at once, for it is decreed that he shall not perish here, far from his own people, but shall return to his house and country, and see his friends again." Calypso trembled with rage when she heard this. "You gods," she exclaimed, "ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You are always jealous and hate seeing a goddess take a fancy to a mortal man, and live with him in open matrimony. So when rosy-fingered Dawn made love to Orion, you precious gods were all of you furious till Artemis went and killed him in Ortygia. So again when Demeter fell in love with Iasion, and yielded to him a thrice-plowed fallow field, Zeus came to hear of it before so very long, and killed Iasion with his thunderbolts. And now you are angry with me too because I have a man here. I found the poor creature sitting all alone astride of a keel, for Zeus had struck his ship with lightning and sunk it in the mid-ocean, so that all his crew were drowned, while he himself was driven by wind and waves onto my island. I got fond of him and cherished him, and had set my heart on making him immortal, so that he should never grow old all his days. Still, I cannot cross Zeus, nor bring his counsels to nothing. Therefore, if he insists upon it, let the man go beyond the seas again. But I cannot send him anywhere myself, for I have neither ships nor men who can take him. Nevertheless, I will readily give him such advice in all good faith as will be likely to bring him safely to his own country." "Then send him away," said Hermes, "or Zeus will be angry with you and punish you." On this he took his leave, and Calypso went out to look for Odysseus, for she had heard Zeus's message. She found him sitting upon the beach with his eyes ever filled with tears, and dying of sheer homesickness. Take a drink of water. Hi, Rassilon. I'm glad that you like the latest video. Thank you. Okay. I know my belly's gonna do the thing. For he had got tired of Calypso, and though he was forced to sleep with her in the cave by night, it was she, not he, that would have it so. As for the daytime, he spent it on the rocks and on the seashore, weeping, crying aloud for his despair, and always looking out upon the sea. Calypso then went up close to him and said, "My poor fellow, you shall not stay here grieving and fretting your life out any longer. I'm going to send you away of my own free will. So go, cut some beams of wood and make yourself a large raft with an upper deck, that it may carry you safely over the sea. I will put bread, wine, and water on board to save you from starving. I will also give you clothes, and will send you a fair wind to take you home, if the gods in heaven so will it, for they know more about these things, and can settle them better than I can." Odysseus shuddered as he heard her. "Now, goddess," he answered, "there is something behind all this. You cannot be really meaning to help me home when you bid me do such a dreadful thing as put sea to... You cannot be really meaning to help me home when you bid me do such a dreadful thing as put to sea on a raft. Not even a well-found ship with a fair wind could venture on such a distant voyage. Nothing that you can say or do shall make me go on board a raft, unless you first solemnly swear that you mean me no mischief." Calypso smiled at this and caressed him with her hand. "You know a great deal," said she. "But you are quite wrong here. May heaven above and earth below be my witness, with the waters of the river Styx. And this is the most solemn oath which a blessed God can take, that I mean you no sort of harm, and am only advising you to do exactly what I should do myself in your place. I am dealing with you quite straightforwardly. My heart is not made of iron, and I am very sorry for you." When she had thus spoken, she led the way rapidly before him, and Odysseus followed in her steps. So the pair, goddess and man, went on and on till they came to Calypso's cave, where Odysseus took the seat that Hermes had just left. Calypso set meat and drink before him of the food that mortals eat, but her maids brought ambrosia and nectar for herself, and they laid their hands on the good things that were before them. When they had satisfied themselves with meat and drink, Calypso spoke, saying, "Take a drink of water." "Odysseus, noble son of Laertes, so you would start home to your own land at once. Good luck go with you, but if you could only know how much suffering is in store for you before you get back to your own country, you would stay where you are, keep house along with me, and let me make you an immortal. No matter how anxious you may be to see this wife of yours, of whom you are thinking all the time, day after day, yet I flatter myself that I am no whit less tall or well-looking than she is, for it is not to be expected that a mortal woman should compare in beauty with an immortal." "Goddess," said Odysseus, "do not be angry with me about this. I am quite aware that my wife Penelope is nothing like so tall or so beautiful as yourself. She is only a woman, whereas you are an immortal. Nevertheless, I want to go home, and can think of nothing else. If some god wrecks me when I am on the sea, I will bear it and make the best of it. I have had infinite trouble both by land and sea already, so let this go with the rest." Presently, the sun set, and it became dark, whereupon the pair returned into the inner part of the cave and went to bed. When the child of morning, rosy-fingered dawn, appeared, Odysseus put on his shirt and cloak, while the goddess wore a dress of a light gossamer fabric, very fine and graceful, with a beautiful golden girdle about her waist and a veil to cover her head. She at once set herself to think how she could speed Odysseus on his way. Is itchy. Drink water. So she gave him a great bronze axe that suited his hands. It was sharpened on both sides and had a beautiful olive wood handle fitted firmly onto it. She also gave him a sharp adze, and then led the way to the far end of the island, where the largest trees grew, alder, poplar, and pine, that reached the sky, very dry and well seasoned, so as to sail light for him in the water. Then, When she had shown him where the best trees grew, Calypso went home, leaving him to cut, which he soon finished doing. He cut down 20 trees in all, and adds them smooth, squaring them by rule in good workmanlike fashion. Meanwhile, Calypso came back with some augers, so he bored holes with them and fitted the timbers together with bolts and rivets. He made the raft as broad as a skilled shipwright makes the beam of a large vessel, and he fixed the deck on top of the ribs and ran a gunwale all around it. He also made a mast with a yard arm and a rudder to steer with. When you are reading this, you got such an AI voice. Oh, it's just my voice.
What? I'm not gonna read it like you sound like an anime girl. He also made a...
I'm not gonna read it like an anime girl. He also made a mast with a yard arm and a rudder to steer with. He fenced the raft all around with wicker hurdles as a protection against the waves. And then he drew on a quantity of wood. By and by, Calypso brought him some linen to make the sails, and he made these too, excellently, making them fast with braces and sheets. Last of all, with the help of levers, he drew the raft down into the water. In 4 days, he had completed the whole work, and on the 5th, Calypso sent him from the island after washing him and giving him some clean clothes. She gave him a goat skin full of black wine and another larger one of water. She also gave him a wallet full of provisions and found him in much good meat. Moreover, she made the wind fair and warm for him, and gladly did Odysseus spread his sail before it, while he sat and guided the raft skillfully by means of the rudder. Hi, Sergeant. Don't forget to drink your water. If it makes any argument against, maybe I do sound like AI, but I do promise you I am a human, is that I have other audiobooks on YouTube. So if you'd like to listen to me read The Wizard of Oz, but voice acting all of the characters, that is certainly available to you. We do also have another book, which is a independent author, Mal by Pearl Azul. I love that book. I got to narrate that book, and that's also available on YouTube. I voice acted the whole thing. I see you, Pearl Azul. Hi, I love you. It's when I talk to chat I sound fine. Well, that's because it's a difference between my reading voice. I'm also tired. Last week, I was actually having issues with my throat. I was in a lot of pain, so I wasn't able to do any reading. And today I'm feeling actually very lethargic, and so I still want to read, but I can't be doing a sultry voice for Calypso, and I'm not gonna be all, this is the voice of Odysseus. I'm not really vocally prepared for that today. Plus, me keeping my voice as this nice, steady hum is actually very soothing for people to fall asleep to. and I like putting people to sleep. It's magic. I did not get a definition for this word. Pleiad. Pleiad? Okay. Yeah. Moreover, she made the wind fair and warm for him, and gladly did Odysseus spread his sail before it, while he sat and guided the raft skillfully by means of the rudder. He never closed his eyes, but kept them fixed on the Pleiads, on light-setting boots, and on the bear, which men also call the wain, and which turns round and round where it is, facing Orion, and alone, never dipping into the stream of Oceanus. For Calypso had told him to keep this to his left. Days 7 and 10 did he sail over the sea, and on the 18th the dim outlines of the mountains on the nearest part of Phaeacian coast appeared, rising like a shield on the horizon. But King Poseidon, who was returning from the Ethiopians, caught sight of Odysseus a long way off, from the mountains of Solymi. He could see him sailing upon the sea, and it made him very angry. So he wagged his head and muttered to himself, saying, "Good heavens, so the gods have been changing their minds about Odysseus while I was away in Ethiopia, and now he is close to the land of the Phaeacians, where it is decreed that he shall escape from the calamities that have befallen him. Still, he shall have plenty of hardship yet before he has done with it." Thereon, he gathered his clouds together, grasped his trident, stirred it round in the sea, and roused the rage of every wind that blows till earth, sea, and sky were hidden in cloud, and night sprang forth out of the heavens. Winds from east, south, north, winds from east, south, north, and west fell upon him all at the same time, and a tremendous sea got up, so that Odysseus's heart began to fail him. "Alas," he said to himself in his dismay, "whatever will become of me? I am afraid Calypso was right when she said I should have trouble by sea before I get home. It is all coming true. How black is Zeus making heaven with his clouds, and what a sea the winds are rising from every quarter at once. I am now safe to perish. Blessed and thrice blessed were those Danaans who fell before Troy in the cause of the sons of Atreus, whatever. Before Troy in the cause of the sons of Atreus. Would that I had been killed on the day when the Trojans were pressing me so sorely about the dead body of Achilles, for then I should have had due burial and the Achaeans would have honored my name. But now it seems that I shall come to a most pitiable end." We are reading the Odyssey. Don't forget to drink water. As he spoke, a sea broke over him with such terrific fury that the raft reeled again, and he was carried overboard a long way off. He let go the helm, and the force of the hurricane was so great that it broke the mast halfway up, and both sail and yard went over into the sea. For a long time Odysseus was under water, and it was all he could do to rise to the surface again, for the clothes Calypso had given him weighed him down. But at last he got his head above water and spat out the bitter brine that was running down his face in streams. In spite of all this, However, he did not lose sight of his raft, but swam as fast as he could towards it and got hold of it, and climbed on board again so as to escape drowning. The sea took the raft and tossed it about as autumn winds whirled thistle down round and round upon a road. It was as though the south, north, east, and west winds were all playing battledore and shuttlecock with it at once. When he was in this plight, Ino, daughter of Cadmus, also called Leucothea, saw him. She had formerly been a mere mortal, but had been raised to the rank of a marine goddess. Seeing in what distress Odysseus now was, she had compassion upon him, and rising like a seagull from the waves, took her seat upon the raft. My poor good man," said she, "why is Poseidon so furiously angry with you? He is giving you a great deal of trouble, but for all his bluster he will not kill you. You seem to be a sensible person. Then do as I bid you. Strip. Leave your raft to drive before the wind, and swim to the Phaeacian coast where better luck awaits you. And here, take my veil and put it round your chest. It is enchanted, and you can come to no harm so long as you wear it. As soon as you touch land, take it off, throw it back as far as you can into the sea, and then go away again." With these words, she took off her veil and gave it to him. Then she dived down again like a seagull and vanished beneath the dark blue waters. But Odysseus did not know what to think. "Alas," he said to himself in his dismay, "this is only some one or other of the gods who is luring me to ruin by advising me to quit my raft. At any rate, I will not do so at present, for the land where she said I should be quit of all troubles seemed to still be a good way off." Excuse me. Drink water. "I know what I will do. I am sure it will be best. No matter what happens, I will stick to the raft as long as her timbers hold together. But when the sea breaks her up, I will swim for it. I do not see how I can do any better than this." While he was thus in two minds, Poseidon sent a terrible great wave that seemed to rear itself above his head, till it broke right over the raft, which then went to pieces as though it were a heap of dry chaff tossed about by a whirlwind. Odysseus got astride of one plank and rode upon it as if he were on horseback. He then took off the clothes Calypso had given him, bound Ino's veil under his arms, and plunged into the sea, meaning to swim on shore. King Poseidon watched him as he did so, and wagged his head, muttering to himself and saying, "There now, swim up and down as best you can till you fall in with well-to-do people. I do not think you will be able to say that I have let you off too lightly." On this he lashed his horses and drove to Aegae, where his palace is. But Athena resolved to help Odysseus, so she bound the ways of all the winds except one, and made them lie quite still. But she roused a good stiff breeze from the north that should lay the waters till Odysseus reached the land of the Phaeacians, where he would be safe. Thereon he floated about for 2 nights and 2 days in the water, with a heavy swell on the sea and death staring him in the face. But when the 3rd day broke and wind fell, and there was a dead calm without so much as a breath of air stirring. As he rose on the swell, he looked eagerly ahead and could see land quite near. Then, as children rejoice when their father begins to get better after having a long time borne sore affliction, sent him by some angry spirit, but the gods deliver him from evil, so was Odysseus thankful when he again saw land and trees, and swam on with all his strength that he might once more set foot upon dry ground. When, however, he got within earshot, he began to hear the surf thundering against the rocks, for the swell still broke against them with a terrific roar. Everything was enveloped in spray. There were no harbors where a ship might ride, nor shelter of any kind, but only headlands, low-lying rocks, and mountain tops. Odysseus's heart now began to fail him, and he said despairingly to himself, "Alas, Zeus has let me see land after swimming so far that I had given up all hope. But I can find no landing place, for the coast is rocky and surf-beaten. The rocks are smooth and rise sheer from the sea, with deep water close under them, so that I cannot climb out for want of foothold. I am afraid some great wave will lift me off my legs and dash me against the rocks as I leave the water, which would give me a sorry landing. If, on the other hand, I swim further in search of some shelving beach or harbor, a hurricane may carry me out to sea again, sorely against my will, or heaven may send some great monster of the deep to attack me, for Amphitrite breeds many such, and I know that Poseidon is very angry with me." Big stretchies. Big yawn. Lean to the right. Oh, lean to the left. Oh, okay. Take a drink of water. Okay. While he was thus in two minds, a wave caught him and took him with such force against the rocks that he would have been smashed and torn to pieces if Athena had not shown him what to do. He caught hold of the rock with both hands and clung to it groaning with pain till the wave retired. So he was saved that time, but presently the wave came on again and carried him back with it far into the sea, tearing his hands as the suckers of a polypus are torn when someone plucks it from its bed. And the stones came up along with it. Even so did the rocks tear the skin from his strong hands, and then the wave drew him deep down under the water. Here, poor Odysseus would have certainly perished even in spite of his own destiny, if Athena had not helped him to keep his wits about him. He swam seaward again, beyond the reach of the surf that was beating against the land, and at the same time he kept looking towards the shore to see if he could find some haven, or a spit. Why does my nose itch? Cat hair gotta be. And at the same time he kept looking towards the shore to see if he could find some haven, or a spit that should take the waves aslant. By and by, as he swam on, he came to the mouth of a river, and here he thought would be the best place, for there were no rocks, and it afforded shelter from the wind. He felt that there was a current, so he prayed inwardly and said, "Hear me, O king, whoever you may be, and save me from the anger of the sea god Poseidon. For I approach you prayerfully. Anyone who has lost his ways has... I miss it. For I approach you prayerfully. Anyone who has lost his way has at all times a claim even upon the gods. Wherefore in my distress I draw near to your stream, and cling to the knees of your riverhood. Have mercy upon me, O king, for I declare myself your suppliant. Then the god stayed his stream and stilled the waves, making all calm before him, and bringing him safely into the mouth of the river. Here at last Odysseus's knees and strong hands failed him, for the sea had completely broken him. His body was all swollen, and his mouth and nostrils ran down like a river with seawater, so that he could neither breathe nor speak, and lay swooning from sheer exhaustion. Presently, when he had got his breath and came to himself again, he took off the scarf that Ino had given him, and threw it back into the salt stream of the river, whereon Ino received it into her hands from the wave that bore it towards her. Then he left the river, laid himself down among the rushes, and kissed the bounteous earth. Alas, he cried to himself in his dismay, whatever will become of me, and how is it all to end? If I stay here upon the riverbed through the long watches of the night, I am so exhausted that the bitter cold and damp may make the end of me. For towards the sunrise there will be a keen wind blowing off the river. If, on the other hand, I climb the hillside and find shelter in the woods and sleep in some thicket, I may escape the cold and have a good night's rest, but some savage beast may take advantage of me and devour me. In the end, he deemed it best to take to the woods, and he found one upon some high ground not far from the water. There he crept beneath 2 shoots of olive that grew from a single stalk, the one an ungrafted sucker, while the other had been grafted. No wind, however squally, could break through the cover they afforded, nor could the sun's rays pierce them, nor the rain get through them, so closely did they grow into one another. Odysseus crept under these and began to make himself a bed to lie on, for there was a great litter of dead leaves lying about, enough to make a covering for 2 or 3 men, even in hard winter. He was glad enough to see this, so he laid himself down and heaped the leaves all around him. Then, as one who lives alone in the country, far from any neighbor, hides a brand as fire seed in the ashes to save himself from having to get a light elsewhere, even so did Odysseus cover himself up with leaves. And Athena shed a sweet sleep upon his eyes, closed his eyelids, and made him lose all memories of his sorrows.
That's book 5. Book 5. We did it.
There is a cat hair on my face, and it tickles, and it really bothers me. Welcome to all of our new fishies. Thank you for joining me today. If you would like a fishy in the background with your name on it, you must join us on the purple app and send a message in the chat. Just one. It could be an emoji. It could be a command. You could say the special word puzzle and join the community puzzle that you see on the screen in the bottom right corner. This next chapter, this next book will have a bunch of words that I don't remember how to pronounce. Hyperea, Nausicaa, Nosithois, Alcinois. Okay. Hopefully this isn't going to be too hard on my throat. I am starting to feel it. Okay. I'll do my best. Book 6. The meeting between Nausicaa and Odysseus. So here Odysseus slept, overcome by sleep and toil. But Athena went off to the country and city of the Phaeacians, a people who used to live in the fair town of Hyperea, near the lawless Cyclops. Now the Cyclops were stronger than they, and plundered them. So their king Nosithois moved them thence and settled them in Scheria, far from all other people. He surrounded the city with a wall, built houses and temples, and divided the lands among his peoples. But he was dead and gone to the house of Hades, and King Alcinois, whose counsels were inspired of heaven, was now reigning. To his house, then, did Athena hie in furtherance of the return of Odysseus. She went straight to the beautifully decorated bedroom in which there slept a girl who was as lovely as a goddess, Nausicaa, daughter to King Alcinois. 2 maidservants were sleeping near her, both very pretty, one on either side of the doorway, which was closed with well-made folding doors. Athena took the form of the famous sea captain Dymas's daughter, who was a bosom friend of Nausicaa, and just her own age. And then coming up to the girl's bedside like a breath of wind, she hovered over her head and said, "Nausicaa, what can your mother have been about to have such a lazy daughter? Here are your clothes all lying in disorder, yet you are going to be married almost immediately, and should not only be well dressed yourself, but should find good clothes for those who attend you. This is the way you get yourself a good name, and to make your father and mother proud of you. Suppose, then, that we make tomorrow a washing day and start at daybreak. I will come and help you so that you may have everything ready as soon as possible. For all the best young men among your own people are courting you, and you are not going to remain a maid much longer. Ask your father, therefore, to have a wagon and mules ready for us at daybreak, to take the rugs, robes, and girdles, and you can ride too, which will be much pleasanter for you than walking, for the washing cisterns are some way from the town." When she had said this, Athena went away to Olympus, which they say is the everlasting home of the gods. Here no wind beats roughly, and neither rain nor snow can fall, but it abides in everlasting sunshine, and in a great peacefulness of light, wherein the blessed gods are illuminated forever and ever. This was the place to which the goddess went when she had given instructions to the girl. Drink water. By and by, morning came and woke Nausicaa, who began wondering about her dream. She therefore went to the other end of the house to tell her father and mother all about it, and found them in their own room. Her mother was sitting by the fireside spinning her purple yarn with her maids around her, and she happened to catch her father just as he was going out to attend a meeting of the town council, which the Phaeacian alderman had convened. She stopped him and said, "Papa dear, could you manage to let me have a good big wagon? I want to take all our dirty clothes to the river and wash them. You are the chief man here, so it is only right that you should have a clean shirt when you attend meetings of the council. Moreover, you have 5 sons at home, 2 of them married, while the other 3 are good-looking bachelors. You know they always like to have clean linen when they go to dance, and I have been thinking about all of this." She did not say a word about her own wedding, for she did not like to, but her father knew and said, "You shall have the mules, my love, and whatever else you have a mind for. Be off with you, and the men shall get you a good strong wagon with your body and the men shall get you a good strong wagon with a body to it that will hold all your clothes." On this, he gave his orders to the servants, who got the wagon out, harnessed the mules, and put them to, while the girl brought the clothes down from the linen room and placed them on the wagon. Her mother prepared her a basket of provisions with all sorts of good things, and a goatskin full of wine. The girl now got into the wagon, and her mother gave her a golden cruse of oil, that she and her women might anoint themselves. Then she took the whip and reins and lashed the mules on, whereon they set off, and their hoofs clattered on the road. They pulled without flagging, and carried not only Nausicaa and her wash of clothes, but the maids also who were with her. Don't forget to drink water, my sleepy little fishies. I'm eepy. When they reached the water side, they went to the washing cisterns, through which there ran at all times enough pure water to wash any quantity of linen, no matter how dirty. Here they unharnessed the mules and turned them out to feed on the sweet juicy herbage that grew by the waterside. They took the clothes out of the wagon, put them in the water, and vied with one another in treading them in the pits, to get the dirt out. After they had washed them and got them quite clean, they laid them out by the seaside, where the waves had raised a high beach of shingle, and set about washing themselves and anointing themselves with olive oil. Then they got their dinner by the side of the stream, and waited for the sun to finish drying the clothes. When they had done dinner, they threw off the veils that covered their heads, and began to play at ball, while Nausicaa sang for them. As the huntress Artemis goes forth upon the mountains of Tagetus or Erymanthus to hunt wild boars or deer, the wood nymphs, daughters of aegis-bearing Zeus, take their sport along with her. Then is Leto proud at seeing her daughter stand a full head taller than the others, and eclipse the loveliest amid a whole bevy of beauties. Even so did the girl outshine her handmaids. When it was time for them to start home, and they were folding the clothes and putting them into the wagon, Athena began to consider how Odysseus should wake up and see the handsome girl who was to conduct him to the city of the Phaeacians. The girl, therefore, threw a ball at one of the maids, which missed her, and fell into deep water. On this they all shouted, and the noise they made woke Odysseus, who sat up in his bed of leaves, and began to wonder what it might all be. Alas, he said to himself, what kind of people have I come amongst? Are they cruel, savage, and uncivilized, or hospitable and humane? I seem to hear the voices of young women, and they sound like those of the nymphs that haunt mountain tops, or springs of rivers and meadows of green grass. At any rate, I am among a race of men and women. Let me try if I cannot manage to get a look at them. As he said this, he crept from under his bush and broke off a bough covered with thick leaves to hide his nakedness. He looked like some lion of the wilderness that stalks about, exulting in his strength and defying both wind and rain. His eyes glare as he prowls in the quest of oxen, sheep, or deer, for he is famished, and will dare break even into a well-fenced homestead, trying to get at the sheep. Even such did Odysseus seem to the young women, as he drew near to them all naked as he was, for he was in great want. On seeing one so unkempt and so begrimed with salt water, the others scampered off along the spits that jutted out into the sea. But the daughter of Alcinous stood firm, for Athena put courage into her heart and took away all fear from her. She stood right in front of Odysseus, and he doubted whether he should go up to her, throw himself at her feet, and embrace her knees as a suppliant, or stay where he was and entreat her to give him some clothes and show him the way to town. In the end, he deemed it best to entreat her from a distance, in case the girl should take offense at his coming near enough to clasp her knees. So he addressed her in honeyed and persuasive language. "O Queen," he said, "I implore your aid. But tell me, are you a goddess, or are you a mortal woman? If you are a goddess and dwell in heaven, I can only conjecture that you are Zeus's daughter Artemis, for your face and figure resemble none but hers. If, on the other hand, you are a mortal and live on earth, thrice happy are your mother and father. Thrice happy, too, are your brothers and sisters. How proud and delighted they must feel when they see so fair a scion as yourself going out to dance. Most happy, however, of all will he be whose I'm having a heart attack. Wait, no, I'm having a stroke. I'm kidding. I'm not yet. Most happy, however, of all will he be whose wedding gifts have been the richest, and who takes you to his own home. I never yet saw anyone so beautiful, neither man nor woman, and am lost in admiration as I behold you. I can only compare you to a young palm tree which I saw when I was at Delos, growing near the altar of Apollo, for I was there too, with much people after me, when I was on that journey which has been the source of all my troubles. Never yet did such a young plant shoot out of the ground as that was, and I admired and wondered at it exactly as I now admire and wonder at yourself. I dare not clasp your knees, but I am in great distress. Yesterday made the 20th day that I had been tossing about upon the sea. The winds and waves have taken me all the way from my Ogygian Island, and now fate has flung me upon this coast that I may endure still further suffering, for I do not think that I have yet to come the end of it, but rather that heaven has still much evil in store for me. And now, O Queen, have pity upon me, for you are the first person I have met, and I know no one else in this country. Show me the way to your town, and let me have anything that you may have brought hither to wrap your clothes in. May heaven grant you in all things your heart's desire, husband, house, and a happy, peaceful home, for there is nothing better in this world than that man and wife should be of one mind in a house. It discomfits their enemies, makes the hearts of their friends glad, and they themselves know more about it than anyone. To this Nausicaa answered, Stranger, you appear to be a sensible, well-disposed person. There is no accounting for luck. Zeus gives prosperity to rich and poor, just as he chooses. So you must take what he has seen fit to send you, and make the best of it. Now, however, that you have come to this, our country, you shall not want for clothes nor for anything else that a foreigner in distress may reasonably look for. I will show you the way to town, and will tell you the name of our people. We are the Phaeacians, and I am daughter to Alcinous, in whom the whole power of the state is vested. Then she called her maids, and said, Stay where you are, you girls. Can you not see a man without running away from him? Do you take him for a robber or a murderer? Neither he nor anyone else can come here to do us Phaeacians any harm, for we are dear to the gods, and live apart on a land's end that juts out onto the sounding sea, and have nothing to do with any other people. This is only some poor man who has lost his way, and we must be kind to him, for strangers and foreigners in distress are under Zeus's protection, and will take what they can get and be thankful. So girls, give the poor fellow something to eat and drink, and wash him in the stream at some place that is sheltered from the wind. On this, the maids left off running away, and began calling one another back. They made Odysseus sit down in the shelter as Nausicaa had told them, and brought him a shirt and cloak. Excuse me. Don't forget to drink water. Hi, Wraith. Thank you for the stream streak, Dova. Okay, just making sure things are working. Actually, this might be a good time to step away for a bathroom break. I will be right back.
I am back. See, I said I would be quick. Okay. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Dova. Where was I?
They also brought him a golden cruse of oil and told him to go and wash in the stream. But Odysseus said, "Young woman, please to stand a little on one side that I may wash the brine from my shoulders and anoint myself with oil, for it is long enough since my skin has had a drop of oil upon it. I cannot wash as long as you all keep standing there. I am ashamed to strip before a number of good-looking young women." Then they stood on one side and went to tell the girl, while Odysseus washed himself in the stream and scrubbed the brine from his back and from his broad shoulders. When he had thoroughly washed himself and had got the brine out of his hair, he anointed himself with oil and put on the clothes which the girl had given him. Athena then made him look taller and stronger than before. She also made the hair grow thick on the top of his head and flow down in curls like a hyacinth blossoms. She glorified him about the head and shoulders as a skillful workman who had studied art of all kinds under Hephaestus and Athena, enriches a piece of silver plate by gilding it. His work is full of beauty. Then he went and sat down a little way off upon the beach, looking quite young and handsome, and the girl gazed on him with admiration, then said to her maids, "Hush, my dears, for I want to say something. I believe this man I believe the gods who live in heaven have sent this man to the Phaeacians. When I first saw him, I thought him plain, but now his appearance is like that of the gods who dwell in heaven. I should like my future husband to be just such another as he is, if he would only stay here and not want to go away. However, give him something to eat and drink." They did as they were told and set food before Odysseus, who ate and drank ravenously. For it was long since he had had any food. For it was long since he had had food of any kind. Meanwhile, Nausicaa bethought her of another matter. She got the linen folded and placed in the wagon. She then yoked the mules, and as she took her seat, she called Odysseus. "Stranger," said she, "rise and let us go back to the town. I will introduce you at the house of my excellent father, where I can tell you that you will meet all the best people among the Phaeacians. But be sure and do as I bid you, for you seem to be a sensible person. As long as we are going past the fields and farmlands, follow briskly behind the wagon along with the maids, and I will lead the way myself. Presently, however, we shall come to the town, where you will find a high wall running all around it, and a good harbor on either side with narrow entrance into the city. And the ships will be drawn up by the roadside, for everyone has a place where his own ship can lie. You will see the marketplace with a temple of Poseidon in the middle of it, and paved with large stones bedded in the earth. Here people deal in ship's gear of all kinds, such as cables and sails. And here too are the places where oars are made, for the Phaeacians are not a nation of archers. They know nothing about boats and arrows, but are a seafaring folk, and pride themselves on their masts, oars, and ships, which they travel far over the sea. Hi, Beans. I am afraid of the gossip and scandal that may be set on foot against me later on. For the people here are very ill-natured, and some low fellow, if he met us, might say, "Who is this fine-looking stranger that is going about with Nausicaa? Where did she find him? I suppose she is going to marry him. Perhaps he is a vagabond sailor whom she has taken from some foreign vessel, for we have no neighbors. Or some god has at last come down from heaven in answer to our prayers, and she is going to live with him all the rest of her life. It would be a good thing if she would take herself off and find a husband somewhere else, for she will not look at one of the many excellent young Phaeacians who are in love with her." This is the kind of disparaging remark that would be made about me, and I could not complain, for I should myself be scandalized at seeing any other girl do the like, and go about with men in spite of everybody, while her father and mother were still alive, and without having been married in the face of all the world. If, therefore, you want my father to give you an escort and to help you home, do as I bid you. You will see a beautiful grove of poplars by the roadside, dedicated to Athena. It has a well in it and a meadow all around it. Here my father has a field of rich garden ground, about as far from the town as a man's voice can carry. Sit down there and wait for a while till the rest of us can get into the town and reach my father's house. Then, once you think we must have done this, come into the town and ask the way to the house of my father Alcinous. You will have no difficulty in finding it. Any child will point it out to you, for no one else in the whole town has anything like such a fine house as he has. When you have got past the gates and through the outer court, go right across the inner court till you come to my mother. You will find her sitting by the fire and spinning her purple wool by firelight. It is a fine sight to see her as she leans back against one of the bearing posts with her maids all ranged behind her. Close to her seat stands that of my father, on which he sits and topes like an immortal god. Never mind him, but go up to my mother and lay your hands upon her knees if you would get home quickly. If you can gain her over, you may hope to see your own country again, no matter how distant it may be." So saying, she lashed the mules with her whip, and they left the river. The mules drew well, and their hoofs went up and down upon the road. She was careful not to go too fast for Odysseus and the maids who were following on foot, along with the wagon. So she plied her whip with judgment. As the sun was going down, they came to the sacred grove of Athena. And there Odysseus sat down and prayed to the mighty daughter of Zeus. "Hear me," he cried, "daughter of aegis-bearing Zeus. Unweariable, hear me now, for you gave no heed to my prayers when Poseidon was wrecking me. Now, therefore, have pity upon me and grant that I may find friends and be hospitably received by the Phaeacians." Thus did he pray, and Athena heard his prayer, but she would not show herself to him openly, for she was afraid of her uncle Poseidon, who was still furious in his endeavors to prevent Odysseus from getting home. Book 6 was quite short. How big is book 7? Book 7's kinda big. But I think we can do it. What do you guys think? What do my fishies think? Are my fishies asleep? Hi, Nizzy. Welcome. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that kind of voice. Oh, big neck crack. Are my fishies asleep? Where are you? Sleepy, sleepy fishies. Sleepy, sleepy. Yeah, my fishies are sleepy. Me too. I too am blinky blinky. I'm actually really excited. I've been working on editing the audiobook for Drown the Stars. Made a ton of progress. I could probably tell you, let me look up how much raw footage we're talking about. Because we are talking is there one for length? There is. Okay. There are two chapters from Drown the Stars that are nearly 3 hours long. I finished editing one of them. But out of this raw footage comes out to 60 gigabytes worth of footage. I'm editing 60 gigabytes worth of footage into an audiobook. And I'm really proud. It's coming out so well, so nice. I have shared before some of the clips that I've gotten. That's a lot of water. Slaps the tank. Here, I will give you guys a little sneak peek of I did this last week. I shared with you a little snippet of the footage that I've edited. There's been a couple of other ones that I'm like, oh yeah, we're cooking. So let me do this. I don't recall. I somehow have a clip it's just titled "I was fueled by lasagna." Okay, so I gotta hear fueled by lasagna. I was fueled by lasagna. Oh, that's good. Okay, let me do another one. So I showed this one last stream. Vane broke away and tried to scream, but Cadet slapped his other hand over her mouth so hard it hurt. He whirled her around, staring with eyes that were yellow and cold. Stop! You are a bloodthirsty monster. No, worse than a monster. You are a machine, and you will do your fucking job. Everyone in a 7-wave radius only lives because you decide to show mercy. Do you understand? She did not, but nodded anyway. That one's a good one. I grabbed this one before I stopped editing for the day. The Queen's voice rose, sharp and piercing. My son will have a lot more than one blaster, Admiral! And I have perfect confidence in him! Damn. I like that one. I just love the energy in that one. Anyway, do you guys want to hear more of those? Or nah. I could probably share one or two more. It's just a nice little break. You turned your volume up? Oh no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell in your ear. You are a versatile voice actress. Thank you. I've got one that is titled Kellis is Illiterate. This one came after I was fueled by lasagna. We got stuck in SAR territory and our jump reactor isn't working, Rokva said as he ran. Zaylin thinks she can fix it, but I think it's too risky. Rokva! Zaylin lunged for him again, but he darted into the private quarters and tried to close the door on her. He wasn't fast enough, and Zaylin managed to squeeze through. An exasperated groan escaped from Rokva's wrist. I can't believe I haven't been gone for an entire hour, Rokva. Not even 1 hour. You gotta help us, Rokva yelped as Zaylin slammed him onto the bed and grabbed his wrist. Don't you dare end this call! Vane's raised voice was enough to make Zaylin pause. She had never heard the knight yell before. In any other circumstance, she would have berated Vane for being so Don't you dare end this call! It's good. It's a good one. What's the one called? Kellis is illiterate. New message. I think she's trying to send you a message even though she doesn't know how to write. New message. Zln. Miss. You. N. Roke. Won't. Roke. Book. So. Plis. Km. I had a good time with that one. I like that one. It's so stupid. But yeah, I actually, once I can coordinate with the author on the visuals for the video, the album cover for the audiobook, stuff like that. Once I can get visuals, I do actually plan to share some of these sneak peeks on socials. So maybe you'll hear those again in the future. But it's so funny. I like those. I'm trying to find moments like that while I am editing to highlight pieces of the reading like that. But it's hard to do that as the person doing the editing. So when you guys listen back to some of my audiobooks or any of my previous readings, I would really love it if there are some timestamps that you come across like, oh, I really liked that. Like, that was a really good section. Leave a comment with a timestamp because I'll take a a clip of that. I'll highlight that and then I can share it. There's also more puzzle. Let us continue reading. I'm Eepy. Are you guys Eepy? Thank you for the compliment, Kurt. Book 7. Reception of Odysseus at the palace of King Alcinous. Thus, then, did Odysseus wait and pray. But the girl drove on to the town. When she reached her father's house, she drew up at the gateway, and her brothers, comely as the gods, gathered round her, took the mules out of the wagon, and carried the clothes into the house, while she went to her own room, where an old servant, Eurymedusa of Epeira, lit the fire for her. This old woman had been brought by sea from Epeira, and had been chosen as a prize for Alcinous, because he was king over the Phaeacians. And the people obeyed him as though he were a god. She had been nurse to Nausicaa, and had now lit the fire for her, and brought her supper for her into her own room. Presently, Odysseus got up to go towards the town, and Athena shed a thick mist all around him to hide him in case any of the proud Phaeacians who met him should be rude to him, or ask him who he was. Then, as he was just entering the town, she came towards him in the likeness of a little girl carrying a pitcher. She stood right in front of him, and Odysseus said, "My dear, will you be so kind as to show me the house of King Alcinous? I am an unfortunate foreigner in distress, and do not know one in your town and country." Then Athena said, "Yes, father stranger, I will show you the house you want, for Alcinous lives quite close to my own father. I will go before you and show the way, and say not a word as you go, and do not look at any man, nor ask him questions, for the people here cannot abide strangers, and do not like men who come from some other place. They are a seafaring folk, and sail the seas by the grace of Poseidon in ships that glide along like thought, or as a bird in the air." I need water. That kind of hurt. On this she led the way, and Odysseus followed in her steps, but not one of the Phaeacians could see him as he passed through the city in the midst of them. For the great goddess Athena, in her good will towards him, had hidden him in a thick cloud of darkness. He admired their harbors, ships, places of assembly, and the lofty walls of a city, which, with a palisade on top of them, were very striking. And when they reached the king's house, Athena said, "This is the house, father stranger, which you would have me show you. You will find a number of great people sitting at a table, but do not be afraid. Go straight in, for the bolder a man is, the more likely he is to carry his point, even though he is a stranger. First find the queen. Her name is Arete, and she comes from the same family as her husband Alcinous. They both descend originally from Poseidon, who was father to Nausithous by Periboia, a woman of great beauty, Parabolia was the youngest daughter of Eurymedon, who at one time reigned over the giants, but he ruined his ill-fated people and lost his own life to boot. Poseidon, however, lay with his daughter, and she had a son by him, the great Nausithous, who reigned over the Phaeacians. Nausithous had 2 sons, Rhexenor and Alcinous. Apollo killed the first of them while he was still a bridegroom and without male issue. But he left a daughter, Arete, whom Alcinous married, and honors as no other woman is honored of those that keep house along with their husbands. Thus, she both was and still is respected beyond measure by her children, by Alcinous himself, and by the whole people, who look upon her as a goddess and greet her whenever she goes about the city. For she is a thoroughly good woman both in head and heart, and when any women are friends of hers, she will help their husbands also to settle their disputes. If you can gain her goodwill, you may have every hope of seeing your friends again and getting safely back to your home and country. Then Athena left Scheria. Then Athena left Scheria and went away over the sea. She went to Marathon and to the spacious streets of Athens, where she entered the abode of Erechtheus. Close enough. Where she entered the abode of Erechtheus. But Odysseus went on to the house of Alcinous, and he pondered much as he paused a while before reaching the threshold of bronze. For the splendor of the palace was like that of the sun or moon. The walls on either side were of bronze from end to end, and the cornice was of blue enamel. The doors were gold and hung on pillars of silver that rose from a floor of bronze, while the lintel was silver and the hook of the door was gold. On either side there stood gold and silver mastiffs, which Hephaestus, with his consummate skill, had fashioned expressly to keep watch over the palace of King Alcinous. So they were immortal and could never grow old. Seats were ranged all along the wall, here and there from one end to the other, with coverings of fine woven work which the women of the house had made. Here the chief persons of the Phaeacians used to sit and eat and drink, for there was abundance at all seasons, and there were golden figures of young men with lighted torches in their hands, raised on pedestals, to give light by night to those who were at the table. There are 50 maidservants in the house, some of whom are always grinding rich yellow grain at the mill, while others work at the loom or sit and spin, and their shuttles go backwards and forwards like the fluttering of aspen leaves, while the linen is so closely woven that it will turn oil. As the Phaeacians are the best sailors in the world, so their women excel all others in weaving, for Athena has taught them all manner of useful arts, and they are very intelligent. Outside the gate of the outer court, there is a large garden of about 4 acres, with a wall all around it. It is full of beautiful trees, pears, pomegranates, and most delicious apples. There are luscious figs also, and olives in full growth. The fruits never rot nor fail all the year round, neither winter nor summer, for the air is so soft that the new crop ripens before the old has dropped. Pear grows on pear, apple on apple, and fig on fig, and so also with the grapes, for there is an excellent vineyard. On the level ground of a part of this, the grapes are being made into raisins. In another part, they are being gathered. Some are being trodden into in the wine tubs. Others further on have shed their blossom and are beginning to show fruit. Others again are just changing color. In the furthest part of the ground, there are beautiful arranged beds of flowers that are in bloom all year round. 2 streams go through it. The one turned in ducts throughout the whole garden, while the other is carried under the ground of the outer court to the house itself, and the townspeople draw water from it. Such, then, were the splendors with which the gods had endowed the house of King Alcinous. So here Odysseus stood for a while and looked about him, but when he had looked long enough, he crossed the threshold and went within the precincts of the house. There he found all the chief people among the Phaeacians making their drink offerings to Hermes, which they always did the last thing before going away for the night. He went straight through the court, still hidden by the cloak of darkness in which Athena had enveloped him, till he reached Arete and King Alcinous. Then he laid his hands upon the knees of the queen, and at that moment the miraculous darkness fell away from him, and he became visible. Every one was speechless with surprise at seeing a man there, but Odysseus began at once with his petition. "Queen Arete," he exclaimed, "daughter of great Rhexenor, in my distress I humbly pray you, as also your husband and these your guests, whom may heaven prosper with long life and happiness, and may they leave their possessions to their children and all the honors conferred upon them by the state, to help me home to my own country as soon as possible, for I have been long in trouble and away from my friends." Then he sat down on the hearth among the ashes, and they all held their peace, till presently the old hero Echeneus, who was the excellent speaker and elder among the Phaeacians, plainly and in all honesty, addressed them thus. "Alcinous," said he, "it is not credible to you that a stranger should be seen sitting among the ashes of your hearth. Every one is waiting to hear what you are about to say. Tell him then to rise and take a seat on a stool inlaid with silver, and bid your servants mix some wine and water that we may make a drink offering to Zeus, the Lord of Thunder, who takes all well-disposed suppliants under his protection. And let the housekeeper give him supper, of whatever there may be in the house." When Alcinous heard this, he took Odysseus by the hand and raised him up from the hearth, and bade him take the seat of Laodamas, who had been sitting beside him, and was his favorite son. A maidservant then brought him water in a beautiful golden ewer, and poured it into a silver basin for him to wash his hands. And she drew a clean table beside him. An upper servant brought him bread and offered him many good things of what there was in the house. And Odysseus ate and drank. And then Alcinous said to one of the servants, "Pontonous, mix a cup of wine and hand it round that we may make drink offerings to Zeus, the Lord of Thunder, who is the protector of all well-disposed suppliants." Pontonous then mixed wine and water, and handed it round after giving every man his drink offering. When they had made their offerings and had drunk each as much as he minded, Alcinous said, Aldermen Aldermen and town councillors of the Phaeacians, hear my words. You have had your supper, so now go home to bed. Tomorrow morning I shall invite a still larger number of aldermen, and will give a sacrificial banquet in honor of our guest. We can then discuss the question of his escort, and consider how we may at once send him back rejoicing to his own country without trouble or inconvenience to himself, no matter how distant it may be. We must see that he comes to no harm while on his homeward journey, but when he is once at home, he will have to take the luck he was born with for better or worse like the other people. It is possible, however, that the stranger is one of the immortals who has come down from Heben? Heben. Blah, 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 blah. It is possible, however, that the stranger is one of the immortals who has come down from heaven to visit us. But in this case the gods are departing from their usual practice, for hitherto they have made themselves perfectly clear to us, when we have been offering them hecatombs. They come and sit at our feasts, just like one of ourselves, and if any solitary wayfarer happens to stumble upon some one or other of them, they affect no concealment, for we are near of kin to the gods as Cyclops and the savage giants are. Oh, I need a drink of water. Hi, Mathis. Mephistos. Welcome. Oh, let's get a nice big stretch. Is that Mr. Anxiety? Is that the highest of anxiety? Oh, big stretchies. Let's get some big stretchies, chat. Me too. Me too. Waiting for the right moment. Anxiety with the big 6-0. That's if I can do math, that's 5 years, right? Did I math right? Or did I math wrong? Almost 5 years? Siren singing? I think we might have to refund that one. Because I don't think my voice can survive siren singing tonight. Where did that go? We're gonna refund that. Because I don't think my voice will. I don't know, you math 5? It is 5? Wow. I did math. Mwah. Thank you for the kissies. Just wait until you hit book 12. Is book 12 really long? I'm so tired. I'm so tired, fishies. Is this the part where we stop? I have so many pages until the end of this book. You did the refund? Yes. You'll get the reference when we get there? Oh dear heavens. Then Odysseus said, "Pray, Alcinous, do not take any such notion into your head. I have nothing of the immortal about me, neither in body nor mind, and most resemble those among you who are the most afflicted. Indeed, were I to tell you all that heaven has seen fit to lay upon me, you would say that I was still worse off than they were. Nevertheless, let me sup in spite of sorrow, for an empty stomach is a very importunate thing, and thrusts itself on a man's notice no matter how dire is his distress. I am in great trouble, yet It insists that I shall eat and drink, bids me lay aside all memory of my sorrows and dwell only on the due replenishing of itself. As for yourselves, do as you propose, and at break of day set about helping me to get home. I shall be content to die if I may first once more behold my property, my bondsmen, and all the greatness of my house. Thus did he speak. Everyone approved of his saying, and agreed that he should have his escort inasmuch as he had spoken reasonably. Then when they had made their offerings, and had drunk each as much as he minded, they went home to bed every man in his own abode, leaving Odysseus in the cloister with Arete and Alcinous, while the servants were taking the things away after supper. Arete was the first to speak, for she recognized the shirt, cloak, and good clothes that Odysseus was wearing as the work of herself and of her maids. So she said, "Stranger, before we go any further, there is a question I should like to ask you. Who and whence are you? And who gave you those clothes? Did you not say you had come here from beyond the sea?" And Odysseus answered, "It would be a long story, madam, were I to relate in full the tale of my misfortunes. For the hand of heaven has been laid upon me, but as regards your question, there is an island far away in the sea which is called the Ogygian. Here dwells the cunning and powerful goddess Calypso, daughter of Atlas. She lives by herself far from all neighbors, human or divine. Fortune, however, brought me to her hearth all desolate and alone, for Zeus struck my ship with his thunderbolts, and broke it up in mid-ocean. My brave comrades were drowned, every man one of My brave comrades were drowned, every man of them. But I stuck to the keel and was carried hither and thither from the space of 9 days, till at last, during the darkness of the 10th night, the gods brought me to the Ogygian island where the great goddess Calypso lives. She took me in and treated me with the utmost kindness. Indeed, she wanted to make me immortal that I could never grow old, but she could not persuade me to let her do so. I stayed with Calypso 7 years straight on end, and watered the good clothes she gave me with my tears during the whole time. But at last, when the 8th year came round, she bade me depart of her own free will, either because Zeus had told her she must, or because she had changed her mind. She sent me from her island on a raft, which she had provisioned with abundance of bread and wine. Moreover, she gave me good stout clothing, and sent me a fair wind that blew both warm and fair. Days 7 and 10 did I sail over the sea, and on the 18th I caught sight of the first outlines of the mountains upon your coast. And glad indeed was I to set eyes upon them. Nevertheless, there was still much trouble in store for me, for at this point Poseidon would let me go no further, and raised a great storm against me. The sea was so terribly high that I could no longer keep to my raft, which went to pieces after the fury of the gale, and I had to swim for it, till wind and current brought me to your shores. There I tried to land, but could not, for it was a bad place and the waves dashed me against the rocks. So I again took to the sea and swam on, till I came to the river and seemed the most likely landing place, for there were no rocks and it was sheltered from the wind. Here, then, I got out of the water and gathered my senses together again. Night was coming on, so I left the river, and went into the thicket, where I covered myself all over with leaves, and presently heaven sent me off into a very deep sleep. Sick and sorry as I was, I slept among the leaves all night, and through the next day till afternoon, when I woke as the sun was westering, and saw your daughter's maidservants playing upon the beach, and your daughter among them looking like a goddess. I besought her aid, and she proved to be of an excellent disposition, much more so than could be expected from so young a person, for young people are apt to be thoughtless. She gave me plenty of bread and wine, and when she had had me washed in the river, and had also gave me clothes in which you see me, now, therefore, though it has pained me to do so, I have told you the truth. I have told you the whole truth. Then Alcinous said, Stranger, it was very wrong of my daughter not to bring you on at once to my house along with the maids, seeing that she was the first person whose aid you asked. Pray, do not scold her, replied Odysseus. She is not to blame. She did tell me to follow along with the maids, but I was ashamed and afraid, for I thought you might perhaps be displeased if you saw me. Every human being is sometimes a little suspicious and irritable. Stranger, replied Alcinous, I am not the kind of man to get angry about nothing. It is always better to be reasonable. But by Father Zeus, Athena, and Apollo, now I see what kind of person you are, and how much you think as I do. I wish you would stay here, marry my daughter, and become my son-in-law. If you will stay, I will give you a house and an estate. But no one, heaven forbid, shall keep you here against your own wish. And that you may be sure of this, I will attend tomorrow to the matter of your escort. You can sleep during the whole voyage if you like, and the men shall sail you over smooth waters. And the men shall sail you over smooth waters either to your own home or wherever you please, even though it be a long way further off from Euboea, which those of my people who saw it when they took yellow-haired Rhadamanthus, which those of my people who saw it when they took yellow-haired Rhadamanthus to see Tityus, the son of Gaia, tell me is the furthest of any place, and yet they did the whole voyage in a single day. Without distressing themselves, and came back again afterwards. You will thus see how much my ships excel all others, and what magnificent oarsmen my sailors are. Then was Odysseus glad and prayed aloud, saying, Father Zeus, grant that Alcinous may do all as he has said, for so he will win an imperishable name among mankind, and at the same time I shall return to my country. Thus did they converse. Then Arete told her maids to set a bed in the room that was in the gatehouse, and make it with good red rugs, and to spread coverlets on the top of them, with woolen cloaks for Odysseus to wear. The maids thereon went out with torches in their hands, and when they had made the bed, they came up to Odysseus and said, Rise, sir stranger, and come with us, for your bed is ready. And glad indeed was he to go to rest. So Odysseus slept in a bed placed in a room over the echoing gateway. But Alcinous lay in the inner part of the house, with the queen, his wife, by his side. Yippee! We finished book 7. So now we're on book 8. Because numbers. And you know what time it is. This is the part where we say our goodnights, our goodbyes, and our see you tomorrows. If all goes well, I will be back again tomorrow night to continue reading more of the Odyssey. We are trying to do our best to do some more reading, as we very much miss doing our reading. I will make a special note that my voice last week was not doing quite well, And this week I am having, a few ups and downs here and there. So do kind of, just join the Discord server, stay up to date with what's going on. If you are